Good morning to everybody out there watching here on Stacking the Box. Thank you for joining us. It is Sunday, October 16th. That is week 6, the 2022 NFL season. And, I just wish there were some better games today. I really do. No, actually, this is the best Sunday, I think, so far. We have the Chiefs and the Bills. We have the Eagles and the Cowboys. And there's a lot of other good games as well. You have the Ravens and Giants, two teams over 500, Giants 4-1, Ravens 3-2. We'll get to that in a little bit. There's the Dolphins and the Vikings, which is intriguing. There are the Saints and the Bengals. One of those teams is going to 2-4. A lot of good games, a lot of interesting games. Not a ton of big lines this week. A lot of smaller lines. So we have plenty to get into. Ian, how you doing today?
Not too bad. Like you said, nice slate of games. Fewer games than normal now that we have the first week of bye weeks this week. So that's a little bit disappointing. But yeah, I'm excited for today's games. I see Hawkeye in the chat. Good morning from Canada, a fellow Canadian in the chat. Always good to see. Hello, Hawkeye, to my fellow Canadian.
What's going on? I got to tell you, whenever I think of Canada, I think of hockey, and that makes me think of my New Jersey Devils, which makes me just absolutely physically ill. I have never, if anybody follows me on Twitter in here, they know this from last night. I have never watched a team that has just absolutely no system or process whatsoever more than the Devils. It's honestly like if you just had like a 7-year-old kid behind the bench and went, "What do you think?" I don't know. Just good luck to you. Go for just get out there and just shoot the puck at the net and see what happens. And that's basically the Devils in a nutshell.
That might be the most irrelevant team in the NHL this year.
Dude, they're so bad.
They don't have any identity. Like I don't even.
Oh, and you know what it is too. Like, and we'll get to football. I promise everybody here in about 30 seconds. It's not even like they don't have talent. Like, there have been years with them in the past where I'll just go, yeah, they're just not good. Like, it's what this team has talent, but they have no goaltender. And my God, are they the most undisciplined? Like, there's no 2 games in, they've outshot their opponents by 30 shots and gotten killed in both games because they give up 5 chances 10 feet in front of the net with no defenseman every single time. Oh my God! That team. They're already chanting "Fire Lindy" at the games. I should have done it last year. Anyway, thank God we're getting into football because that team makes me ill. Fire everybody. They suck. All right. Speaking about our teams, we're going to lead off with your team today. We've got the Niners at the Falcons. Niners going across the country. Home game, obviously, for Atlanta. It's an early game. The Niners are really beat up. Spread is Niners laying 4.5 on the road. Totals 44.5. Which way do you land on this game with your birds involved?
Yeah, I got a bad line on this game, and actually I'm looking at FanDuel right now. It's even dropped down to 4, so the line's kind of moving the opposite direction for me. I got 49ers minus 5.5. Listen, Falcons 5-0 against the spread. I think that comes to an end. I just don't see how this offense is going to be able to move the ball against the defense because the offense is exciting, but not necessarily good. Even last week, they covered against the Buccaneers, but it was like their first really good defense they faced, and they only averaged 4.3 yards per play. So now they have to take on an even better defense, and a defense that leads the NFL in opponent yards per carry, and that's how the Falcons get the majority of their yards is on the ground. So it's strength versus strength here. I think it's going to be a long day for the Falcons. I think this is the first game they don't cover, so I'm laying the points with the 49ers.
All right. Well, once again, I believe in the team more than you do. I am taking the Falcons. That's right. I'm taking the Falcons to cover. I got them at plus 4.5.
I like it.
You know what? It's a couple of reasons. I don't always believe in the travel thing. I think sometimes it gets overrated. Like you've got to come across country, but they do have to come across the country. But the reason I go with this game is this to me screams trap game. Just screams it. They play the Chiefs at home next week. They are beat up to all hell. They're missing 1 million guys on defense. If there is ever a week that Atlanta is going to catch the Niners asleep at the wheel, this is the week they're going to do it. I don't know that I think the Falcons win the game, but I think it's a field goal game. I think the Falcons might win. I think they keep it close. The other thing is, like, is Jimmy Garoppolo going to pull away in this game? I don't know. The Falcons do have good corners, so I think they can match up there. I like it to be a close game. I like it to be like 23-20, something like that. I didn't want to touch the total, but I am taking the Falcons plus 4.5. I think they can cover. I think they can win. I think they will cover. We shall see. But I believe in your Falcons, who have been, as you mentioned, the cover angels for everybody out there who keeps betting on them.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't have faith in my Falcons. So
fair enough. I don't blame you. All right. Let's go to the AFC side of things. We've got the Browns at home, minus 154 on the money line against the New England Patriots. The Browns are 2.5 points favored in the game. Line is 43.5, one of the lower totals of the week. Look, I'll kick us off with this one. I did not know what to do with this game. I thought about taking the total. And then I thought to myself, like, okay, look, where's one matchup that I could kind of hang my hat on here? I'm hanging my hat on Jacoby Brissett against Bill Belichick. And so I am taking the Pats to cover the 2.5. I think they outright win the game, but I'm not. I think it could also come down to like a 45-yard field goal at the end, as so many Browns games have done. By the way, every Browns game, it feels like this year, has come down to the last like 3 seconds. The only one that hasn't, to my memory, is the Steelers game. And I think the Steelers are the worst team in football. So I am going to take New England plus 2.5. I don't love that they got to play with Bailey Zappi again, but he's been okay. The Browns just, if they can't run the ball, what do they do? Like, what does this team do particularly well? I don't know. Brissett's been okay, but he doesn't throw the ball for any real yardage. I'm going to trust Belichick. I'm going to put my faith in Belichick here and go plus 2.5 with New England.
Yeah, if I were to go to side, I'd probably go that way. I like the over in this game, actually. That's the way I'm going. I got over 42.5, so before it moved up a point here. But surprisingly, these two teams are supposed to, especially the Browns, supposed to have one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. They have not been good. I think they're down at like 25th in opponent yards per play. They've been a bad defensive unit. The Patriots defense hasn't been great either, 15th in opponent yards per play. And neither team can stop the run either. Patriots 23rd in opponent yards per carry. Browns are 30th. So both offenses are going to run the ball a ton, and neither defense has done a great job of stopping the run. So I actually like the over in this one. Also, Bailey Zappi was just the king of overs when he played in college. So I know it's obviously a completely different team, but I'm just going to keep backing that. So yeah, I like the over in this one. I think we're going to see some points.
It could happen. It's a weird game. It's a game where not a lot would surprise me. Like if this game goes 30-27, I could see it. If this game's 17-14, I could see it. I can see the team winning. So I'm just rolling with Belichick. By the way, before we get too deep into this, how did we do last week? I feel like I had a tough week last week, but how did we stack up?
I'm just calculating what our overall records are right now, but last week I went 7-6-1 plus 0.36 units, and you went 6-7-1 for minus 1.55 units. So
okay.
We both pushed on Vikings plus or -7.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta have like one real good week. I feel like I'm just always around 500, which I guess could be worse. All right, let's get into the rest of the slate here. This game fascinates me for a variety of reasons. The Packers at home in Lambeau, coming off of that disaster in London a week ago against the Giants, now getting the other New York team or New Jersey team, depending on how you look at it, the Jets riding into town. The Packers with one of the bigger lines of the week. Only one bigger line on the board. Excuse me, 2 bigger lines on the board. The Packers are laying 7.5. It's supposed to be raining. The total is 45.5. I am a gutless coward and took the money line for the Packers in this game because and look, I know it's not going to win a lot of money. I get it. But you know what? I sat there, man. I literally sat here last night when I was doing this for 5 minutes, and I was like, I want to just take the Packers minus 7.5 because I think they're clearly the better team. But I also felt that way against the Giants, and they screwed me. And I'm like, I just can't believe in this team right now. Like, they're a disaster. I thought they'd kill the Pats. They didn't kill the Pats. Now you get the Jets. And then there was a part of me that's like, all right, I'll take the Jets plus 7.5. And then I sat there, and I was like, it's the Jets. And I could see myself being furious 5 minutes into the game when it's 14-0. And I'm like, why? Why did I take the Jets at Lambeau Field to cover a touchdown? So like a coward, I took the money line and just said, you know what? I know I'm not winning a bunch of money on it. I get it. In real life, I'd probably put it in a parlay or something. But I'm going to go minus 375. Just win the damn game, and we'll move on from there.
That is an all-time coward move. A money line bet on a 7.5-point favorite.
That's right.
I'm going to take the Jets in the points. I'm taking the 7.5. Packers were favored by, I think, 8 or 9 last week against the Giants, and then they lost outright. I don't see why they deserve it being favorites of bigger than a touchdown here in this one. And you look at their defense. If you look at them statistically, the Jets defense has actually been better than the Packers defense this season. Opponent yards per play, Jets 11th, Packers 14th. Opponent yards per carry, Jets 7th. Very good at actually stopping the run this year. Packers 22nd. Opponent yards per pass attempt, 5th and 16th. Opponent completion percentage, Jets 16th. Packers are dead last in opponent completion percentage. So I actually think the Jets defense is better. And if I'm going to lay more than a touchdown on a team, I need both their offense and defense to be better. And that's not the case in this game statistically. I think the only reason why this is this big of a line is because of the logo, because it's the Packers and because it's the Jets. For that reason, you said you didn't want to bet on the Jets because they're the Jets. They're going to find a way to lose. Well, I'm going to back the numbers. I think this is a great spot to back the Jets.
It's a little bit more than that in the sense. I think you're right, though. I think that's why the line's as high as it is. It's a little bit more also like, are the Jets any good? I know they're 3-2. They beat Skylar Thompson and struggled to do it last week. I know you look at the score and they killed them. Like, they really didn't. I mean, that game was really close in the fourth quarter. They won a game in Cleveland they had absolutely no business winning. Like I worry that and they beat the Steelers and barely did it. Like, I believe they might be complete frauds. But yes, like a gutless coward, I took minus 375. Look, in real life, I would throw that in a parlay. I would just attach that to some other bet and say, okay, we'll make it a little bigger. But we don't do the parlays here. Maybe we should. But for that reason, I take the Packers, and I'm looking for a cheap win. All right. The AFC South, the division that really makes us all want to drink on Sundays. The Colts at home. The roof is open, by the way, at Lucas Oil today. 63 degrees and sunny in Indianapolis. They take on the Jaguars. This is the second meeting already. This is the last time these two teams will face. Unless, of course, you think we're going to get the trilogy in the playoffs. No, of course not. Nobody thinks it. Nobody wants. If we have that, we should all file a class action lawsuit against the league. All right. So I find this line interesting. The Colts are at home. By only the grace of God, they actually have the better record. They're 2-2-1. The Jags are 2-3. Of course, Jacksonville won 24-0 in week 2 in Duval. The Colts only a 1.5 point favorite at home. Totals 41. Talk to me about where you're going with Colts Jags.
Yeah, I'm just going to back the Jaguars to win outright. I just took them on the money line here. I'm officially out on the Colts. The Colts are my preseason pick to win the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan was my dark horse MVP pick. I'm officially out on this team. They stink. 29th in yards per play. Their offensive line can't block. It seems like every time Matt Ryan steps back to throw, he either A, throws an interception or B, fumbles it. I just can't. Like, they're 29th in QB sack percentage. I thought it was supposed to be a good offensive line. They stink. Meanwhile, the Jaguars actually have had one of the best offensive lines in the NFL in terms of sack percentage, only getting sacked on 3.21% of dropbacks, third best rate in the league. So I don't see anything with the Colts that gives me confidence to bet them anymore. I've lost enough money on them already this season. I'll take the Jaguars to win outright.
I think both these teams stink. I thought Jacksonville was good there for a hot second, and then it turns out no, the Chargers just absolutely can't do anything on a week in, week out basis. So it turns out that win was just maybe a mirage. I am going to take the under 41 in this game. I think Indianapolis' offense is brutal. They can't score. I mean, even the games they've won, they can't score a point. You look at you say, well, they scored 20 against the Chiefs. One of those touchdowns, the drive started at the 4-yard line. And they needed all 3 downs to get in the end zone. They can't do anything. It took and the other touchdown drive they had wouldn't have been a touchdown. It would have been a punt if they hadn't called Chris Jones for unsportsmanlike conduct on 4th and 13. It can't score. They can't do that Denver game against Indianapolis. That's one of the worst football games I've ever seen. Although this Thursday night they tried to even do us all one better with a game that actually should be put in prison. I don't think they can score points. And the flip side of that is I actually do think the Colts defensively are pretty decent. So I think it's going to be one of these 16, 13, nobody wants to ever talk about this game again type games. I don't know who's going to win. I don't care. They're both terrible. But I will just take it under. I will take I'm not a big totals guy, but I'm going to be in this game because I cannot in good conscience bet either one of these teams to win this game. All
right. I like it. I certainly wouldn't be betting the over in this game.
Oh God, no. No, you got to be some kind of a derelict to bet the over. All right. Let's get into Miami and Minnesota. The much anticipated Super Bowl 8 rematch we've all been clamoring for.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, great. Awesome. All right, the game is in Miami. 1:00 kick, of course. The Dolphins hosting Minnesota. The Dolphins plus 140 on the money line. Minnesota minus 168. The line this morning is Minnesota 3.5, but it's been 3 most of the week. It is good weather. It's like beautiful weather, 81 and sunny in Miami. The total is 45.5. So one of the higher totals of the week. Skylar Thompson, if you didn't know, he is, in fact, starting for the Dolphins. Tua has been cleared, but he's not going to play this week. He'll play next week, it looks like. So the Vikings laying a field goal on the road against Skylar Thompson in his first career start. Do you believe in the Fins or the Vikings?
I believe in points. So that's what I'm going to bet on this one, because I think both these teams are just built for the over. Dolphins 5th in yards per play, and then 29th in opponent yards per play, somewhere around that. Same with the Vikings. Their yards per play stat isn't as good, but I mean, we know the weapons this offense has. They can put up points in a hurry if they need to, and they rank 26th in opponent yards per play. So, Dolphins 30th in opponent yards per pass attempt as well. So bad secondary going up against a Vikings pass attack that features Justin Jefferson. I think we're going to see a lot of points. I know Skylar Thompson is playing. That makes me a little bit nervous. But Dolphins still scored some points when he played last week. So I would have expected this total to be in the high 40s. It's only in the mid 40s. So I'll take the over in this one and hope for the best.
I'm taking Minnesota minus the points. Look, I am terrified of it because it is the Vikings. And as I like to say every week, they are absolutely the NFC's answer to the Chargers. Anything is possible. You never know what the hell is going to happen. I thought about taking the over. I almost did take the over. Skylar Thompson scares me to no end. I don't know, like, can he play? Can he not play? He didn't look that good against the Jets. And then, of course, there's the Cousins factor of, like, is this a game where Kirk Cousins plays well? Is this a game where Kirk Cousins pretends it's Monday Night Football and throws for 120 yards? I have no idea. I think Minnesota is just a better team at this point. I think, now if Tua was there, first of all, the line wouldn't be Minnesota -3, but I would go that route. I can't do it without him, or at least even Teddy. If Teddy Bridgewater was in, I probably would have gone over. I don't know what I'm getting out of Skylar, so I took Minnesota, swallowing the field goal. I think they win by like a touchdown. And they're weird. They're 4-1. I don't know that anybody believes in them right now, but they're 4-1. So you got to give them credit. They're winning the division. Not only are they winning it, they have a game up on the Packers and they beat them. So Minnesota maybe undervalued overall. It's hard to say. Actually, here we have a minute here. Do you believe in the Vikings or do you think they're bullshit?
No, not really. I think they're obviously going to be a playoff team. I don't believe in them to go on a run. It's just their defense just stinks so bad. They're one of the worst run defenses in the NFL too. I think they're either last or second last in opponent yards per carry. So I think you got to have at least an average defense to kind of truly be contender. And the Vikings are like a bottom 5 defense in the NFL so far. So no, I don't believe in them to be like a true contender or anything like that.
I don't either. I think they're a playoff team, but I think that's about what they are.
Yeah.
And I think part of that's because of the conference they play in.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to a really interesting game. At least I think it's a really interesting game. 1:00 at the Superdome. Saints and the Bengals. And of course, the Saints are the home team here, but this is also like Joe Burrow's house. Won a national title there. Played at LSU. A favorite son. Of course, not from there, from Ohio, but went to LSU, and everybody loves him. Came out with that Burrow jersey famously at homecoming night where it was spelled out like the French version of how you would pronounce Burrow. The Bengals laying 3 on the road here. The total's 42.5, not a high total. I am fascinated by this game, and I had a hard time taking the side here because both these teams are 2-3. I think both of them are more talented than 2-3. The Saints have not been good all year long. The Saints have not looked good. The Bengals, very much Jekyll and Hyde. Like some weeks look okay, now, but they've only beaten the Jets and they with Flacco, and they beat the Dolphins, and they needed all 4 quarters to do it, despite Tua getting knocked out in the second quarter. And that game was at home in a short week. Do you like the Saints or the Bengals here with one of these teams going to 2-4 on the season?
I will say an interesting note from a betting standpoint is the Bengals spread is the most bet spread on the slate today. The people are hammering the Bengals to win and cover against the Saints here. I'm on the opposite side, though. I did get it at a bad line. I got it at +1.5 early in the week. But I'm out on the Bengals team. I had faith in them. I kept thinking we were going to start seeing the playoff Bengals from last year. We still haven't. We are now 5 weeks into the NFL season, and the Cincinnati Bengals are second last in the NFL in yards per play. They are not moving the ball on offense whatsoever. I have no faith in them because now they go up against a pretty solid defense in the Saints. And one of the Saints areas that I like about them the most, second in the NFL in opponent third down conversion rate. Teams are only converting third downs into first downs 29.85% of the time. That's going to be tough for this Bengals offense to overcome considering just how bad they are. So I'm starting to think it's not rust that has hurt them. I'm starting to think they did something on offense that other teams and defensive coordinators have figured out. I think I heard something about cover 2 and teams are just running cover 2 against them, and that's messing up their game plan. So I'm out on the Bengals until they prove me otherwise. Now they might come out and win big, and then maybe I need to reevaluate them heading into next week. But as of right now, I can't trust the Bengals no matter who they play. I won't bet on them as favorites until they prove otherwise. So I'll take like I said, a bad line. I wish I got to the +3, but I'll take Saints +1.5.
I'll ride with the public like a dope. I'll take. I got Bengals -2.5 before I went to 3. Look, you know what? My feeling on this game is either one of these teams could win, but I'm taking the quarterback in this game. I'm taking Burrow in the building he's familiar with. Chase, again, also familiar with it from LSU. Like I don't like what the Saints have looked like at all this year. They have not looked good. They've even in games they've won, they've looked like crap. I just don't believe in them. The Bengals haven't looked great. I understand that. I still believe in the Bengals as a playoff team. I do. Maybe I'm a dope and they win 7 games this season. I still think at some point you're right. Like what's been their problem is this cover 2 defense. You just cannot get going. Look, I happen to follow a team that was covered 2 to death last season and was 3-4 early in the year and couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden they figured it out and they rolled the rest of the year. Like I think the Bengals will figure it out. Is today that day? I don't know. Dennis Allen, I don't think can be very successful as a head coach. I think he's a very good defensive coordinator. So I do think they'll have a good plan defensively. I am taking the Bengals to win and cover. I do not think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a 1-score game. But I like Cincy. And by the way, we have a question in the chat from Reddywood, which is Verderame. What's the deal with Trent McDuffie? Are they just playing it safe or what? Like it's been 5 weeks now. Well, he was on IR, so he had to miss 4 weeks. Yeah, I think this week. Look, I was told at the end of last week there's a chance he play against the Bills. They wanted to see how he worked out this week. He worked out fine, from my understanding. It's just essentially that, yes, they wanted to make sure that hamstring's 100% and give him 1 more week. So obviously, a huge game this week, which we're going to get to here in a little bit. But the Chiefs playing it cautiously with their star rookie DB, the first-round pick. Fair enough. I can't totally blame them, even if it is something that today could hurt them. All right, let's get to another really interesting game here before we get to a game that I think might cause mass panic in Pittsburgh. The Giants at MetLife catching 5.5 against the Ravens, who come in 3-2. The Giants are 4-1, and yet they're 5.5-point dogs in this game. At one point, they were a 6-point dog. The weather should be fine, a little overcast, no wind at all. The total 45.5. Do you believe in the G-men, or are you a big fan here of Baltimore on the road despite a big line?
No, I think it's time to sell high on this Giants team. I got the line at -4.5 here for the Ravens. I think that's the way to go. I still like it at 5, and I like it anything underneath a touchdown here. The Giants, kudos to them for being 4-1, but you have to look at how a team does statistically. You can't just look at record. You can't just look at final scores. And I still can't believe in this offense. 19th in yards per play, 26th in third down conversion percentage, 29th in yards per pass attempt. So their entire offense has been running the football. Now they take on the Ravens, who only it's like something like 27.12% of the yards gained against the Ravens comes on the ground. That's the 3rd lowest percentage in the NFL. So if you want to attack this Ravens defense, you have to do it through the air, and that's not how this Giants team is built. So they're 4-1. People are starting to give them credit. A lot of it is deserved, but that doesn't make me want to bet on them this week. Statistically, the Ravens are the much better team. They match up better against them. I think this is my favorite bet of the week too. So I love the Ravens in this spot. I think you got to sell high on the Giants.
Fair enough. I'm going to ride with the Giants covering +6. You know
Wow.
what? Wink Martindale was the coordinator for a long time in Baltimore. And if he knows anything about that offense, he can put it to good use today. I watched the Dolphins last year cover 0 the Ravens to death, just to death, all afternoon, actually all evening. It was a Thursday night game. And the Ravens just couldn't do anything. Couldn't run the ball, couldn't throw the ball. I think you might see a similar game because, look, if you know anything about Wink Martindale, if you're familiar with his scheme when he was with Baltimore and he's carried over to the Giants, he is going to blitz the absolute hell out of the Ravens in this game. I mean, it's coming. It's coming all night. And I think when you look at the game, I think Baltimore is the better team. But I also look at this and go, yeah, listen, they don't have Rashad Bateman today. Who the hell other than Andrews is catching the ball? Like,
I don't think it matters. I think they just run the ball down their throat.
They better, because they got nobody who's going to catch it. So who the hell's doing? I mean, Devin Duvernay, like who? They better run the ball. And I think if you're Martindale, you saw that team in practice every day for how many years? Like you should have some semblance of an idea of like how to attack that. The other side is the Ravens defense sucks. I know they were good against Cincinnati, finally. Okay, although Cincinnati can't block its way out of a paper bag. Like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't think the Ravens could win this game by a couple scores. I think it's totally possible. But I also think it's very possible we look up and go, wow, the Giants are just blitzing the Ravens into oblivion, and they have no answer for it. I think the Ravens find a way to win, but I think they win by a field goal. So I'm going to take the Giants to cover the spread. You know what? Dable's got that team playing hard, playing well. I think Barkley could have a big day on the ground. I like the Giants. And by the way, that place is going to be going nuts. It's the first time the Giants have been worth anything in how many years? So it's going to be a bunch of New Yorkers who are in New Jerseyans who are just screaming all afternoon. I think it'll be an interesting game. I'm riding with the Giants. Now let's get to a game here that nobody should believe in the home team in. Tampa and Pittsburgh. Now, this is actually it's tied now for the biggest line of the week. I have watched this line go up. It was initially 7.5. It's now 10. The Buccaneers are laying 10 points on the road. The Steelers, not only do they stink, they are without everybody today defensively. Watt's not playing. Fitzpatrick's not playing. Cam Sutton's not playing. And the whole offense isn't playing because they haven't played all year long. The total is 45.5. I will just be succinct with this. I don't care if the line was 14 like it was a week ago for Buffalo. I am taking Tampa in this game. The Steelers are 32nd in my power rankings. They can't score a point. And you're going to tell me they're going to start scoring today against the Bucs? I thought about taking the under. Then I saw many guys for Pittsburgh rush. I'm like, this could be the game where the Bucs just hang 45 on somebody, and it's a killing. I think the Buccaneers will win this game going away. I didn't think this game's close. I mean, maybe something 28-10, something like that. There's no like Pickett against Brady. There's nothing that makes me think the Buccaneers aren't going to cover 10 points.
I agree with you on this one. I got a little bit of a better line, though, early in the week. I got Buccaneers -8, so I'm pretty happy with that heading into this game because Steelers have no answer for them. 26th in opponent yards per pass attempt, so they give them a ton of yardage through the air. Now they take up on Tom Brady. And the Buccaneers, they can't run the ball, but 80.45% of their offensive yards come through the air. That's the most in the NFL. So you have a team that does nothing but throw the ball and throw it well against one of the worst secondaries without Minka Fitzpatrick back there. This is going to be a bloodbath. I don't really know what else to really say about it because it's every single stat you look at is completely lopsided. So good luck to Kenny Pickett going up against one of the better defenses in the NFL too. He looked like trash against the Bills last week
with no offensive line. Have fun. Look, the other part of this too that we stay on this game for another minute, and really not the game as much as the Bucs for me. This is also the kind of game like Tampa Bay beat up on Dallas. Then they had this weird game against the Saints. They're always weird. They find a way to win. Then they lose to the Packers in the final seconds. They can't tie it on a 2-point conversion. Then the Chiefs go in there and hang 1,000,000 points on them and beat them. And then last week, they're in total control against Atlanta. And then if not for one of the worst calls you've ever seen in your life.
The worst.
I mean, just, by the way, didn't end up mattering for my team. You and I could have filed a lawsuit together after that Chris Jones penalty last week. NFL, PSA, for the love of Christ, can we stop with these now? Can we? And by the way, I love it with your penalty. Brady got fined on a play.
Right.
Brady kicked him. Like, it's honestly, it is so bad. I don't care if somebody lands with their body weight on the quarterback. It's called a tackle. Like what the fuck is he supposed to do? All right.
And on top of all that, I'll add, to make all of that even worse, it literally decided the game. The game was over because of that penalty. It wasn't like it happened in the first quarter, the second quarter. That decided the game right there. Falcons would have got the ball back with 1.5 minutes left to score. Nope, game over.
And the way they were playing, they might have.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, I mean, it's just ridiculous. The ironic thing is with the Chiefs one with the Raiders, I actually think it was the best thing that happened to the Chiefs. They were deader than hell early in the game. Then that happened, and the crowd went nuts, and it changed the entire complexion of the game. But yes, a brutal job of the officials. That's one thing I do ask for today. We have a lot of good games on the slate. Stay the hell out of the game. Just call the obvious stuff. Let these guys play. These are grown men. This isn't Pop Warner. Let them play the game. Get out of it. I swear to God, if the Chiefs and Bills, either way gets decided by that today, I'm going to lose my mind. All right, let's get to the later games. A couple of 405s and the 425 game we all want to talk about. The Rams and the Panthers tied for the highest point spread of the week. The Rams laying 10. Of course, look, the Panthers are without Baker Mayfield. They have an interim coach in Steve Wilkes with that Rhule being fired. The Panthers, if you're so inclined, if you really want to just go for broke, plus 360 on the money line, Rams minus 460. Totals 41.5 at SoFi. You and I on opposite sides of this line.
Yeah, I like to call myself an underreact guy. Whenever there's big news that makes everyone bet on one side, I like to underreact to the news and go the opposite side. So I'm going to underreact to Matt Rhule being fired. I'm going to underreact to Baker Mayfield being out. I'll take the Panthers plus 10 in this spot. I can't lay 10 points on a team that quite literally ranks dead last in the NFL in yards per play. I know they've played arguably 3 of the best defenses in the NFL in the first 5 games in the 49ers, Bills, and Cowboys. So maybe that certainly has something to do with it. But still, dead last, 32nd in the NFL in yards per play, averaging 4.8 yards per snap. That is terrible. I don't care who they've played. I don't care who they're playing against. 10 points is a massive spread in the NFL, and I can't lay that many points on a team that has been this bad offensively through the first 5 weeks. So I could end up looking like an idiot. They might go ahead and win this game by 20 points, and then maybe my mind will change betting on them moving forward. But right now, I can't do it. Their offensive line sucks. 31st in yards per carry, 30th in QB sack percentage. I just can't lay 10 points on this team.
No Cam Akers.
Yeah, he's done. A report came out this morning. They're trying to trade him, and even if they can't trade him, then they're just going to cut him.
Yeah, so that's not great. Look, this is going to sound funny because I'll get my bet out of the way. I'm taking the Rams to cover 10 points because I think the Panthers are so bad that they just will not function today. I think they're deader than hell. They might get the number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, that team is just dead on arrival. Quarterbacks are terrible no matter who it is.
PJ Walker's 2-0 as a starter.
Yeah, that's nice. He stinks. Steve Wilkes, God bless him, no chance. Like, they're just not good. Now, with that out of the way, my bet is more about the Panthers than it is the Rams. The Rams are a disgrace this season. And look, I don't want to hear your point is well taken about them playing these defenses with the Niners, the Bills, and the Cowboys. You know what? You're the Super Bowl champion. Can you beat one of them? Right. Like, I love these people, and it's always like you get these people on Twitter who are like, well, their strength of schedules. I don't give a shit what their strength of schedule is. They won the Super Bowl.
Right. They're the Super Bowl champs.
Who cares? You're not the Bears. Go out and win a game. I don't want to hear that. Like, the other team's strength of schedule should be hard because they're playing you. They won a game. I don't hear this shit. Oh, we played the Bills. That's nice. You just won the Super Bowl. We're going to win the game. You don't hear Tom Brady. Everybody always loves to point out, Tom Brady never plays. But yeah, till the playoffs. He beats everybody. Like, that stuff's all fine and well. And I'll hear that. Like, yes, their offensive numbers might be suppressed a little bit because they've played some of these harder defenses. But you get these people either who are strength of schedule junkies or these Rams sympathizers who are like, it's been really hard for them so far. Yeah, well, geez, welcome to the NFL. When you play a first-place schedule, you're able to win a Super Bowl last year. Now, listen, I have said, and I will forever say, the Rams drew the biggest inside straight in the world last year because they didn't have to play the Packers, they didn't have to play the Chiefs, they didn't have to play the Bills. They got the Cardinals, who were a corpse. It was basically getting a bye week in the wild card round. Then they played the Bucs, who had me starting at left guard for that team that week. They had nobody left who could block. Then they played the Niners, who if Jaquiski Tartt just catches the ball, the Rams aren't even in the Super Bowl. And then I was at the Super Bowl covering it. The Bengals had every opportunity to win that game, couldn't do it. And give the Rams credit, they came down at the end and they drove. I got to tell you, I think the Rams are going to win this week. Then they have a bye. They're going to get their asses kicked the following 2 weeks coming out of that bye. They play the Bucs and the Niners. They're going to lose those two games because the Rams can't handle anybody who's physical. Anybody. The second somebody punches the Rams in the mouth, the game's over. And everybody always talks about, on defense, they've got Ramsey and Donald. That's great. Who's the third best player on that defense? Washed up Bobby Wagner? What? They're not stopping anybody. I think they win this week. I think they win going away because I think the Panthers are just absolutely fried. But other than that, good luck. Good luck beating anybody you got to play. By the way, the Rams, not only do they have the two games I just mentioned, they still have the entire AFC West. Good luck. All right. Let's keep it rolling here. I unloaded the clip on the Rams. We had a few minutes. Seattle at home against the Cardinals. I'm going to take this is the line of the week for me. I just don't quite understand this. Arizona, both teams 2-3. Arizona laying 2.5 in Seattle. The total is very big. Second biggest of the week. 50.5. Good weather. 73 clear. No winds. So that shouldn't be a factor. Give me your bet, but also, do you think the line's correct that the Seahawks are getting points at home here as a fellow 2-3 team?
The line's not correct if you base it solely off how each team has performed through the first 5 weeks. So the line is based off Kyler Murray. It's based off some past results we've seen from the Cardinals in previous years. But also, I have no desire to bet on either side of the spread because the Seahawks are such a weird team. What I'm going to do in Seahawks games, this game and for the next foreseeable future until things change, is just take the over in their games. Because they're second yards per play, dead last in opponent yards per play. So how do I bet the spread when, they might score every drive, but then the other team is probably going to score every drive too. So these games are probably just going to come down to whoever has the ball last. Are they going to kick a field goal to win? Then okay, then they might be able to cover as short underdogs. Are they going to give up a touchdown to lose? Then the other team's going to win by 5 or 6 because they're going to score a touchdown on the last drive. So I don't know what to do with this team other than just bet the over. Like I said, second yards per play, dead last in opponent yards per play. Their defense absolutely stinks. Geno Smith has somehow looked good on offense. It's only, even though it's a high total compared to the rest of the totals this week, big picture, it's not really that high. I'm surprised this total isn't like 54, 55. So I'll take the over. I don't know what else to do with the Seahawks.
No, I understand. Like, I'll take the Seahawks plus 2.5. I don't love the Seahawks, but I can't stand the Cardinals. I just can't bet them. Have you watched them this year? They've beaten the Panthers, who are god awful. And beyond that, and they beat the Raiders when they were down 20-0, and the Raiders were like, here, please beat us. And so they did. The Cardinals are terrible. The Cardinals, to me, this year, Kyler Murray's averaging less than 6 yards an attempt. Now, they get DeAndre Hopkins back after this week. So if you're a Cardinals fan, here's what you hang your hat on. If you win this game, you're 3-3, and you're getting DeAndre Hopkins back. And so you say, okay, maybe you get rolling after that. And maybe they do. But without him, they have been bad offensively. I am taking Seattle to at least cover, and I think probably outright win this game at home. If this game was in Arizona, I'd probably be with you. I'd bet the over. I think this is, by the way, if you're so inclined, maybe a good teaser bet to take the over and Seattle and just bet up the points and bet down the total.
Yeah.
I could see that because I think you're right. I think it probably will go over. If I was going to bet the total, I'd definitely take the over. Also, if you want to check it out on fanside.com, a shameless plug. I wrote about Geno Smith this week and talked to some people up in Seattle, talked to one source who was nice enough to give a few quotes. So go ahead and check that out. He's been great this year. And I got to say, like, if you watch them, he's been legitimately good. Not even like, hey, I threw a bubble screen to DK and he went 75 yards. Like, throwing the ball down the field. So I've been really impressed by him. Their defense is a dumpster fire, so we'll see. But I like Seattle in this game, like 31-28, something like that, which obviously would more than hit the over as well. All right.
I will say one last thing, though. I'd probably go Seahawks spread. My only concern, though, is that the Seahawks defense is so bad. This is the kind of defense that Kyler Murray can just rely on instinct like he likes to do and just tear apart a defense and look like an MVP candidate. I think against really good defenses, he's going to look like trash. But against the worst defense in the NFL, that's when Kyler Murray can shine. So that was my only concern that kept me away from betting on the Seahawks.
That's fair. That's totally fair. All right. Let's get to the game of the year, the game of the century. It is the rematch of 13 seconds. The Chiefs and the Bills at the scene of the crime, if you're a Bills fan, at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs are a home dog for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career. The Bills are laying 2.5 points. The spread, highest of the week, as you would imagine, 53.5. These are the two highest scoring offenses in the league. The Chiefs averaging 32 points a game. The Bills right under them at 31 or 30.5. This is the game everybody has been waiting to see. I certainly among them. What say you about Bills Chiefs at Arrowhead?
Yeah, I will take the Bills. First of all, why isn't this game on primetime?
Because CBS protected it.
Unbelievable. I guess that objectively makes sense, but I don't like it. This should be a primetime game. I'll take Bills in this one, though. I'm going against the Chiefs here. The Bills, I think, have this significantly better defense so far this season. They're giving up only 4.4 yards per play. That's a second best mark in the NFL. Chiefs are hovering around 10th in that mark, and I have the same issue with the Chiefs that I brought up last week when I was on the Raiders, that they give up a high completion percentage. Almost 70 opposing quarterbacks completing almost 70% of passes against this Chiefs defense. If they let Josh Allen complete 70% of his passes, they will not win this game. They will not cover this game. So I think the defense is better. If you look at yards per play, the Bills' offense has been better as well. I'll go with the Bills. I think they win. I think they win handedly. How about that? I think they win 9 points.
Okay. I'm taking the Chiefs money line in this game. And I'll tell you right now, I'm taking the money line because of the quarterback. That's why. And I think Josh Allen's great. He is not Patrick Mahomes. This game, every time, I know the Chiefs. And every time they go into one of these games where people are like, I don't know, I don't think they can win this game. Every time they come out like they're on fire. The Bills' defense is great. Here's the problem with the Bills' defense in this game. They do not have Tre'Davious White, and they do not have Micah Hyde. And that doesn't matter when you're playing Kenny Pickett and Ryan Tannehill and a Rams offense that we just spent 5 minutes talking about how bad it is. And it doesn't matter when you're playing Tua Tagovailoa, although they lost to him. And it doesn't matter when you're playing a Ravens team that can't throw its way out of a paper bag. It matters when you're playing the Chiefs. I think this game is going to come down to one thing. If the Bills' edge rushers can get to Mahomes, they will win this game. And if they can't do it, they're going to lose. Because they drop 7 guys into zone coverage. And if Mahomes has time to throw the ball, he is going to smoke them. He has done it every single time he has had any ability to sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. Even the game they lost last year, they lost handily, 38-20. The Chiefs turned the ball over 4 times in that game. They had 400 yards of offense. It wasn't like Buffalo just shut them down. The Chiefs moved the ball at will. They've run the ball very well against Leslie Frazier's defense every time they've seen him, including in that game. I think the Chiefs will move the ball very effectively in this game. Now, maybe Von Miller wrecks the game, and that is the one way I can see the Bills winning and winning going away. The Bills are going to score their points. I don't doubt that for a second. But I think the Chiefs are going to score more of them. I think the Chiefs win this game something like 33-29. I think the Bills are the slightly better team, but the games at Arrowhead, I think the Chiefs had the better quarterback, although I think they're 1-2 in the league. I'm not taking Mahomes to lose this game. No, he's been an underdog 8 times in his career. He's 7-0-1 against the spread. He's won 6 of them outright. I'm not going to be on the other side of that.
How many of those games are against the 2022 Buffalo Bills?
None. But I also don't care. Like they look, they just played the Bucs 2 weeks ago, and including yours truly, everybody's like, oh my God, the Bucs defense. The Chiefs lit them up like a Christmas tree in that game.
They were a 2-point conversion away from losing to the Raiders last week. The Raiders.
I get it. But you know what? They spotted them 17 points and then just blew their doors off the rest of the way. Like, to me, the Chiefs are the quintessential. If they will sleepwalk through a handful of games because they don't get motivated and they don't get up. It's like they think they're just going to kill a team. But then when they play the Bucs, a team that you're like, oh man, I don't know if they're going to win that game. That's the game when they unload with everything they have, and you're like, oh my God, Mahomes just threw for 5 touchdowns. Whatever the hell was that night? It was 4 touchdowns actually. The Buccaneers gave up 27 points the whole year going into that game. The Chiefs had 28 at halftime. And by the way, the Buccaneers defense is every bit as good as Buffalo's defense. And I would even argue, frankly, they're more talented than Buffalo's defense. Who in the secondary other than Poyer scares you in this game for the Chiefs?
Weren't you on the Bucs in that game?
I was, like a dope. And that was part of the reason that it's important. I'm not betting against him as an underdog ever after this. Like, you could just see, look, I think the truth of it is, look, I think this is going to be a very good game. I think both teams are going to score points. Allen's going to move the ball. He's phenomenal. I expect him to run the ball and to run it well. I think the Chiefs, again, the key to me of this game is blocking. If the Chiefs block the edges, I think they win the game. Because I don't think the Bills can stop them if they can handle the edges. I really don't. I think that to me is going to determine this game. If Miller and Rousseau get home, I think the Bills win by multiple scores. If they don't get home and Mahomes has 3+ seconds against his zone defense that he knows is coming, I think they will do what they always do against the Bills defense, and they will move the ball at will in this game. So I am taking the money line. I am not betting against him as a dog. Call me what you will. I am taking the Chiefs to win this game. And by the way, I will add, I don't care who wins this game. I think this game has been overhyped. Both of these teams, I think they're the 2 best teams in the league along with Philadelphia. Okay. This game has no bearing, in my opinion, on what the hell is going to happen in January when they invariably see each other again. The Chiefs got killed last year in the regular season and then beat them anyway. And I think that's true for the Bills as well. If the Bills lose this game, what? They can't go into Arrowhead and win a playoff game? I mean, they should have won last year. I think if the Chiefs lose this game, what? They can't go to Buffalo and win a playoff game? Of course they could. So I think this game is very big for the 1 seed, and so therefore it has importance. I also think people have gone overboard. Whoever wins this game, it's just going to be this love fest tomorrow about how they're the best team and how can anybody possibly beat them, and that's bullshit. No matter who wins, both these teams are going to see each other again in January, and that's the game you need to win. This one is a prelude.
I have a hot take with the Chiefs I want to get out before we move on.
Fire away.
Mahomes, obviously electric. I think when he makes those electric plays that no other quarterback can make, I think people remember those plays, and then they think the Chiefs' offense is better than what it is.
They lead the league in points per game.
They're 9th in yards per play. 0.9 yards per play fewer than the Bills. That's almost an entire yard fewer per play. Who cares about points? There's so many other variables that go into points.
That's what wins football games.
Yeah, but but if a team gets an interception and they take the ball over in the 20-yard line and then score a touchdown, that's less impressive than scoring a touchdown starting on your own 5.
Okay.
The game is not about scoring points. The game is about moving the ball. That's my theory.
I would argue that because that's all cute and well, but if you don't score points, you lose. Also, by the way, your theories well taken. Does it also matter that the Chiefs in 2 of these games have basically run the clock out in 2 of them and have just been slamming the ball into the line? Like, not to say the Bills haven't had blowouts. God knows they have. My point is just, look, I hear you. The Chiefs' offense is pretty damn good. If you want to argue with the Chiefs, that's fine. I don't know that the argument is that I don't think the Chiefs' offense is very good.
I didn't say they're not very good. That's not what I said. Now. They're not as good as people assume they are. They're still a very, very good offense. Probably at the end of the day, a top 6, top 7 offense. But I still think the Bills not leagues. They're head and shoulders better than the Chiefs offense. Average scoring margin this season: Buffalo plus 18.2, Chiefs plus 6.8.
Have you seen who the Bills have played this year? The Steelers.
I'm not a Chiefs hater. I like the Chiefs.
40 points.
I think the Chiefs are good. I think they're just not. They're not like this. Their offense is good, but that's it.
I will respectfully disagree with you. I think the Chiefs, defensively today, I think the Chiefs are in trouble. They're missing a lot of guys. I think the Bills are going to score points. I think the Chiefs are going to win the game. I do. And by the way, I think the Chiefs then will go out and have some game against Jacksonville where they've got to fight to the finish because they don't take them seriously for 3 quarters. I think the Chiefs absolutely in this game will come out and play with everything they've got. Now, Buffalo might win. They might. But if you're asking me a value perspective on this game, I am taking the Chiefs in value perspective. I will take them as a home dog in a game where, by the way, those fans are going to have about 8 hours to get well lubricated for the game. Should be an interesting setting.
I want to one last really quick comment because Alex in the chat says, "Who cares how impressive it was if your team has more points than the game?" By that logic, then last year the best team in the NFL was the Tennessee Titans. Do you think the Titans were the best team in the NFL last year? They had the best record. It's more than just wins and losses if you're evaluating a team.
But there's also a lot of but who you've got to do a lot of different things. Look, the Bills also turn the ball over more than the Chiefs. That's a problem.
That's true.
I'll tell you right now, they do that today, they're going home in a big way. If they go out and if they turn the ball, they're -2 in the turnover ratio, they're getting their asses kicked. All right, let's go to Sunday Night Football for another great game. Honestly, in fact, frankly, a more important game in a lot of ways. Philadelphia at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles are laying 6.5. That line has continued to climb. Totals 42.5. Weather should be okay. 56 overcast at the Link in Philly. What say you about what is a really, really important NFC East matchup? Eagles 5-0, Cowboys 4-1.
I have to address this comment. Tinfoil conspiracy. The Chiefs go down big on purpose just to make it more difficult for themselves. That's quite a take. I like it.
He did say right after. I don't actually believe that.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I love it though.
I do not. I cannot subscribe to that theory. I don't think it's true.
I'll take the Eagles in this one. Kind of like I was talking with the Giants earlier. I think this is a sell high spot on the Cowboys. Their offense is doing enough to get the job done, but 23rd in yards per play, 29th in third down conversion rate. I just don't think this Cowboys offense has what it takes. And also, everyone talks about how good the Cowboys defense is, but not many people are talking about how good the Eagles defense is.
Very good.
Top 5 in opponent yards per play. They're basically right there next to the Cowboys in a lot of defensive stats. So I think the offense is the difference maker here. I'll take the Eagles.
I think this game's really interesting. I like the Eagles. And if I took a side here, I would take Philly. I took the under. I took under 42.5. I just think both defenses are really good. I agree with you. Philadelphia's underrated defensively. The Cowboys can play defense. I think this game's like 20-17, 21 to 16. I wanted to take the points, but then again, I was like, yeah, but Cooper Rush, I know he's 4-0. I get it, but they're not scoring a ton of points with Cooper Rush. That's the thing that scares me in this game. If this becomes a game where Cooper Rush just to throw the ball a ton, yikes. So I'm rolling with the under. I think it's a really good game. I think Philly's going to win. This game has gotten far less attention than Chiefs Bills because of all the history, but this game's more important, honestly. I mean, you're talking divisional game, all that kind of stuff. I mean, Chiefs and Bills, they're going to be there 3rd, 4th weekend of January. Let's be honest. I mean, this game for Chiefs and Bills is basically who's going to be at home for that rematch, which is important, but either team can win on the road. This game, far more important. Dallas wins this game, they're going to be favored in the division. I mean, they would be even with them, getting Dak back, and they get a game at home against the Eagles. So, big spot here. All right, let's get to our last game, the Monday night game. Another AFC West tilt, and my God, can we sign a petition somewhere so we don't have to watch Denver in primetime anymore? Who did this? Why? The 4th time in 6 weeks. God help us all. The Chargers and the Broncos at SoFi. You get 2 games at SoFi this week. 4.5 is the line. Chargers laying the 4.5. Totals 45.5. And I see that you made a bet that is indefensible. Fire away.
Yeah. The people might have thought my Chiefs take was a hot one. Well, this one might be even hotter. I'm taking the Denver Broncos to win outright. This is my upset pick of the week. I think they win here. I don't think, and I think I brought this up last week. Are the Chargers as good as we thought they were? I certainly don't think so.
No, they're not. But Denver's nowhere near anywhere good. They suck, man.
Let me defend Denver for a little bit. One thing they do very good, and one thing that they are actually significantly better than the Chargers in, is defense. If you just look at the defense, Broncos are head and shoulders above the Chargers. 6th in opponent yards per play. Chargers 28th in opponent yards per play. This defense was supposed to be rebuilt and better this year. They absolutely stink. And specifically in the red zone. Denver is the best red zone defense. Chargers down at 19th. Chargers dead last in opponent yards per carry. They can't stop the run. Their defense truly stinks. Now, the Broncos offense has not been good, but I think it's just because of the red zone. Because if you look at yards per play, they're like middle of the pack. I think they're 18th in yards per play, but they just can't score when they get down to the red zone. I think we're going to see positive regression in that area. I don't think you can be as bad as the Broncos have been in the red zone for an entire season. I think they have to figure it out at some point, and I think a team that they can figure it out against is a Chargers defense that absolutely stinks. So I think the Broncos offense gets it together a little bit this week. I think the Broncos defense, which specifically the best part of the Broncos defense is their secondary, and that's how the Chargers get the majority of their yards through the air. So styles make fights, and I think this is a good stylistic matchup for the Broncos. I'm getting obviously aggressive taking them to win outright, but that's my pick. I think they pull off the upset.
Okay. All good points. My counterpoint is Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. That being said, I didn't even take the Chargers in this. I took the under. I took the total. Because you're right. Denver has a really good defense. The Chargers defense does stink, but I am relying heavily here, again, on the law firm of Hackett and Wilson to keep this score nice and low. I cannot pick them. I cannot pick them to win or to even cover. Like I watched every snap of Denver football this year, and I'm a worse person for it. I've never in my life seen a team come out and be more like, well, it actually has talent. I mean, I've seen like horrible teams, but like more uninspiring offensively. They do nothing well. Nothing. Every once in a blue moon, they'll hand the ball off and get some yards. They run okay. And I think people will say, well, no, they run the ball well. Yeah, they run the ball well, but they're so bad throwing the ball that it really doesn't matter that they run the ball. And now it's Javonte Williams out for the year. Like, I don't even have faith in that because you also have to factor in that they fumble the ball constantly when they run it. So I don't think they run the ball well when you factor that in. They don't block well. The quarterback's been awful. By the way, like, you know, we can finish up with this. Do you think he's done?
Who?
Russell Wilson. I mean, and done isn't an elite quarterback. I don't mean like done like he's going to be like PJ Walker. Like done like as an elite, like a top 10 quarterback.
Yes. Yeah, he's never going to be a top 10 quarterback again.
Like,
yeah,
I got to tell you,
done.
Man, I'm with you, and I didn't think I would be. Like, I've always been a Russell Wilson fan. I have been. And watching him this year, you're like, oh my God. I mean, he can't even throw the ball 10 yards down the field, like, and hit a guy in the numbers. I mean, how many times have you watched Denver this year? He literally had a guy wide open 10, 12 yards down the field. He just throws it in the dirt. I mean, he throws it. You can't. And I know it's not like an arm strength thing. It's an accuracy thing. I'll tell you, though, and we'll leave it at this. Here's what put me out on him permanently. When they lost last week, largely because of him, and he goes up to the podium and he's giving his whole, like, I'm gonna come back. It's the only thing I know how to do. You know, it's all that I am. What all this like Tony Robbins bullshit. And then at the end of it, he's like, Broncos country, let's ride. Done. Immediately done. Immediately, like, couldn't be more out. Could not. Can you imagine the locker room seeing that clip? Like, I'm so far out. Like, look, man, why don't you just go like rep Subway or something and call it a day? Like, if you want to be that guy and go be that guy, good luck to them on that 7-year contract that he signed up for. All right. That is it. It is time to play football. Week 6, the NFL season underway. We're not counting the Bears and the Commanders and whatever the fuck that was. This is actually week 6 getting underway. A great slate of games. Good luck to your teams. We'll talk to you again next week. Enjoy it. Here we go.
Let's ride.